gonna make a video on what's the best motorcycle to start riding with, and I guess I'm gonna concentrate in the top contenders, which would be the Ninja 250, the CBR 250, and the Rebel 250, I guess. Now in these two, the Rebel, I suppose, is a different category because it's not a sport bike. It's more of a little cruiser. Now, what I could say good, because I could tell the Rebel's kind of slower. But the only advantage in it, though, would be, I guess, the riding position. It looks pretty comfortable. I don't know if that really trains you well. I think this riding position is more aggressive, and you're able to make your turns more confidently. On the Rebel, on that riding position that it has, is more comfortable, but it's more of an effort, I think, to make your turns. So I don't think that's what you want to do on the first bike. But now, talking about the Ninja versus the CBR, the Ninja's better. Especially now they have the Ninja 300. That would definitely be a way better. But what I find, I have the older Ninja 250, and I have the new Ninja 250 is very similar in its specs. So I'm just guessing they're the same thing pretty much when it comes to that. I made that term really bad. But basically the good thing about the Ninja is it has a lot of top end speed. Now, what the CBR some people prefer about it is that it has more torque, so that makes it more practical because there's more of the speed range that you want to use. But once you learn how to shift gears, you know, you could get that power whenever you want it. You just have to shift down a gear. It takes like a fraction of a second once you're good at it. So, and then you have more top end speed, which is kind of important when your bike is only a 250 because it's not going that fast to begin with. So you want to be able to use all of its speed. Whereas with the CBR, you probably top out at like 80 something. With these older Ninjas, you can do 100 something, and newer Ninjas, you can still get to 100. It's just, and you get there quicker too. But it's just like, you won't get at any moment that you twist and you speed up. It's not always gonna happen. If you're very high, like here, you twist and you don't really get that push. But you go down too, you get that push. I think it's pretty important before you start riding that you learn how to drive stick. Because when you stall out on a car, I mean, your car's gonna jerk up, but that's you know, and turn off, but you're gonna stay on it. On a bike, if you're not holding on tight, when you stall, you could lose the bike because it's this big shake, this big jerk motion that you get, kind of throws you off, and you could fall off. So I think you should learn how to drive stick before you start riding in the first place. Now, so I'm guessing that's what's good about the torque, that if you're not very experienced with driving stick, it's good because you're not going to be quick in shifting gears or know when to shift gears. So there, you don't have to shift to get that power when you need it. But if you know how to shift, you're definitely better with the Ninja because you just shift to get that power. And you know, so you got everything that the CBR has, plus a little more top end power, you know, which means you could go faster you can actually reach 100 if you're lightweight like me. Go past 100 even. When it comes to style, also the Ninjas have a better style than the CBRs. I haven't seen many CBRs around. All I see is Ninjas around here in Jersey. But when I do see the CBRs, it looks like something you would see in like another country. It's not like an American style. It's more like of an Asian style, I think. So I personally don't like that style. I like the Ninja much better. I think it looks much nicer. You can take a look at the pictures and decide. I heard the CBR has a more comfortable position, but these Ninjas, their comfortable position, their position's pretty comfortable. I mean, it's not so far forward that it gives you a problem. It's not completely sit back, but the most I've ridden was in one day. I did 300 miles. I went to Albany and back, 150 miles each way. And I didn't get too tired. The thing I did was I would sit back and do about 70 for a little while until I got bored. Then I would tuck in and do 100, or not 100, do 90 or so. And then, just alternate between the two. And I find that when you alternate like that, it works out pretty well. One thing that you might find when you start riding is that you get very cramped up in ways that you couldn't expect before. Like when I started riding, I had heard you could get your back sore, So, but I also heard that wouldn't really be an issue with the Ninja, which it hasn't been an issue. But the thing that does get sore are my thighs, my hips. And I don't know, like I haven't heard anybody else talk about it, but like sitting down in this sort of squatting position gets me kind of sore. Look at that bike. Because you're kind of squatting, your legs are up, your butt's down, your knees are usually above your butt, so I'm not used to being in that position, and you could get pretty sore from it after a while. And it's weird, you get off, like I know last year when I started riding it was really bad, but then around the end I kind of got used to it, and it usually happens only if I ride after an hour, but it sucks because when you get off for a minute you can't even get off. It's your legs are just like, you're just kind of stuck. So you should think before you get a bike you should try sitting on it, because you'd be surprised, a lot of people that try out a different bike, that actually ride and don't just have a sport bike to show off on weekends, they actually ride on a regular basis, well, they don't have sport bikes because it's just not worth it. The soreness on your back is not worth it. And then especially when you're taking someone, if they're leaning up on you, then it also puts a lot of weight on your arms, especially at low speeds. The bikes, like a super sport bike, is designed like so you're leaned over, but at those speeds the wind is kind of supporting you, so that's how it doesn't wear out your arms. But at low New York speeds right here, it hurts, you know. You get sore after a while. Even if you, I mean, maybe if you work out it won't be as sore, but I think it will. So you have to be mindful of that. That's why Harleys are so popular, is because you just sit back on them and it looks like a really comfortable position, and they have that big windshield a lot of times too, so you're not fighting the wind. They're nice, you know. I guess that's why once you're older you don't really care, so you just want to relax. But you know, being younger, typically what you want to do is go fast and cut through lanes and just get crazy. So you would normally get, you know, the sport or the super sport for that very reason. So riding conditions. When I ride, I usually, it depends on the conditions. And the conditions I go by is, I think the real good riding is between 50 and 90 degrees. You accommodate for the colder temperatures by putting on layers, take off layers for higher temperatures. But another factor though that you have to always keep in mind is the wind. When it's pretty windy, it can get pretty rough, especially on these bikes. You can't deal with it. What I normally keep as a rule of thumb is winds under 15 miles an hour, you're usually pretty alright with that. But when the wind goes above 15 miles an hour, that could be a problem. Especially when I'm downtown, the buildings causes wind funnels sometimes, and I'm stopped at a red light, and I gotta have both of my legs on the ground and hold on to my bike tight, because it spins all over, it blows all over the place. And it could be pretty dangerous. Another thing to keep in mind is you always have to watch out for the rain. The rain, when it first falls, the road is very slippery. You're not able to make some of the stops or maneuvers you want to make with that slippery road. So you have to be very careful of that. Don't ever go out riding in snow. I could tell you that much. Snow, bikes are not made for snow. There's some extreme weathers I will ride on, like during the winter. You know, sometimes I just miss riding, and I'll ride in temperatures and weather that I normally wouldn't. So I find that if you layer up really well, you can go down all the way to 35 when the sun's out, and at night you could go down to like 40, you know, under the right weather, you know, wind and no rain or snow or anything. You could do it. So I don't know, if you live somewhere when the weather never drops below 40 and you don't have to ride in the rain for whatever reason, you can there's not too much rain to worry about, then yeah, you could just have a bike. Because if it comes down to it, you could ride in pretty low temperatures. Just for as long as it's not, you know, below 35, because then, you know, some places might actually be at the freezing point. You know what, I'm just gonna go around all these guys. I'm not a big fan of waiting. See, this is what's cool about a bike, you just get around. Oops, lights red now. Yeah, I should have looked up and seen that. But still, you know, I would have been waiting back there still. And sometimes, like yesterday, I was driving on the highway, and there was a car on fire like a mile ahead, and all lanes were closed. So I waited like hours on my car to actually get through. But if I had been on my bike, it would have been just a non-issue. I would have just gone through all the cars, and then at the very end there were a couple loops where cars could get around, but very slowly. I would have just gone around. It would have been, instead of like a 2-hour delay, would have been probably like a 10-minute delay. So that's really what I like. There's nothing worse than traffic. You just sit there and you spend the whole day. What was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about, and pretty much home now, so peace out.